So, I want to welcome you all to our informational meeting where we're getting ready to get down in the nitty-gritty of the trip. And first, I want to just welcome you and thank you all for coming with me. Right now, we have 4 participants who are signed up for the trip, but there will be 6 of us going. If there is anyone who is interested in going later, that people can still join, as I know that I've had that question. The deadline for payment is June 28th, but if somebody comes after June 28th and said, I really want to go, here's the money, they can go. One thing that I think is really critical for me to say at the outset, though, we are getting started as soon as we have all the payments in. We're getting started with making arrangements, right, for hotels and tickets and as such. So if someone comes at a later date, it may complicate things for them if they can't get on the exact same flight or be where we are. So just if you have anybody who's interested in coming, tell them it is better for them to register sooner rather than later. Okay. But I want to get started this evening. I want to take an opportunity just to have us to go around, and I'd like you to do a couple of things. I'd like you to say who you are. I'd like you to say what is your why for coming on this trip, which will probably have something to do with what is your why for doing the work of dismantling racism and healing racism. Because as a part of this work and this journey that we're going to take, we aren't going just to do sightseeing. We also want to do some deeper work. And that is what my background is. It is in teaching and healing as a psychologist, as a pastor. It is in doing the work of dismantling racism. So you're going on this trip with the knowledge of having someone like me who's also going to push you a little bit on this trip as well. So that means that we're going to do some pre-work. And my pre-work always begins with what is our why. Okay. So is anybody opposed to us beginning the evening with just doing a little bit of breathing and a little bit of meditation to call us into this space? Because that's a part of what my process is just making sure that we're grounded and centered. So are we all okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. So what I am going to do then to call us into this space, I am actually going to read one of the meditations from my book. Okay. So I want to invite you just to take a really deep breath in and just hold it for a second and then let it out very, very slowly. Take another deep breath in slowly and hold it and then let it out very slowly. And then one more deep breath in and hold it. And now let it out very, very slowly. And then I just want you to return to your normal breathing. And experience these words. Knowing presence. There is a place that resides deep within me that speaks to who I am and my relationship with you, the sacred. This place reminds me that I am loved unconditionally and divinely created. This place reminds me that all of us are called to a purpose and are all interconnected. This place reminds me that there is something more than the ugliness that is often present in the world. This place of beauty, indescribable love, and inexplicable peace is not that far away because it is found in you, my sacred wisdom and guide who resides within me. Help me to remember when raw emotions creep in, when my words get twisted or my heart becomes hardened. Help me to remember that your sacred presence is always there. Help me to remember to see you, the sacred, shining your light through me. And though it might be a bit more difficult, help me to remember that you also are present within others. And so it is, Ashe, and Amen. Like you take a deep breath in and open your eyes if you've not already done so. So, as a part of my work as a spiritual leader, it is always important for me to ground myself before I engage in not only this work, but any work that we do. And considering all the things that are going on in the world right now to shake us up a little bit, we need to have some sort of grounding. I don't proselytize and I don't tell people what that grounding should be for them. But in my work on dismantling racism, I find that if we center ourselves, it helps us for the journey. So the journey ahead, you all have done a lot of work. I know that both Marjorie and Ann, you've done some work with coming to the table. So you've done some work on dismantling racism. Reverend Dr. Kimberly or KC has done plenty of this work as well. But we always need to be armed and centered and grounded. So I'll start by saying what my why is for doing this work. In particular, what my why is for taking predominantly white kindred on this trip is because when I went to Ghana, I actually went with Reverend KC to Ghana. And one of the people who traveled with us said, if you really want to dismantle racism, it is important for white people to see what we've just seen and to experience what we've just experienced. And so I said, okay, if this is the call and there are people who want to go, I will answer that call. And a part of what I want to do through this experience is because if you've never seen or experienced the castles and the other journeys that we will take, it is actually gut-wrenching. And we need to have that space to be able to process what we're seeing and also to be able to process how those who came before us experienced the trauma or were the ones inflicting the trauma. And that's a lot to take in. And so we want to make sure that we have a place to really discuss it, to reconcile it. So my why is because I'm about healing racism. And this will be a journey for me as well, because though I've been doing this work for a very long time, you all are the first group that I'm taking over to Ghana to work through this stuff with. So it will be a challenge, I am sure, for me, but I know it will be a challenge for you. But rest assured, I'm going armed with my grounding, my sacred source, my 30-something years of experience as a psychologist to be able to help you to go through this. And I'm going armed with Reverend KC. Reverend KC can tell you more about this, but she has taken folks over for years. And so she has graciously agreed that she will be my assistant and I will be her assistant for another group that she's taking over as well. So you have two people who are traveling with you who have an incredible amount of experience. And so between the two of us, your questions will be answered for the trip. And also you will have someone that you can process with as well. So I'm going to ask if Reverend KC, you will go next, and then you will call on the next person to share their why and share a little bit about who they are.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to meet you, Anne and Marjorie. And so glad that we'll be going on this journey together. My why is twofold. The first is very practical. I will be assisting Dr. TLC on this journey. I do soul care, and my main mission for soul care is to help people find their soul and discover what it is, and then to begin to heal the parts that we need to heal in order for spirit to come through us and make us those people that the divine wants us to be. So I will be on the journey just as, an assistant, to work through, talk through, pray through, whatever you all need during these times, during the outings, especially to the castle, help to process what you've just seen and what you've just heard, because it's a lot for us as well. And so I'm here for you all. I've my company is the Restored Life Group, and I do soul care work. Labyrinth walks, teaching you how to really connect with yourself and the divine. So I hope I can be of assistance to you all on the journey. Thank you. I will call on. I forgot who came in next, but I'm going to call on Anne.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Marjorie. Are you going to Minnesota?
Yeah, we can meet there.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. I'm so glad to have another CTT. I guess there are going to be four of us. So my name is Ann Reeves. I live in Fairfield, Connecticut. Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, both of you. I honestly think my journey began when I was 8. I lived in a very white community, quite affluent, growing up, and across the street was an old lady, probably not as old as I am now. I thought she was really old. And she was infirm. I think she was in a wheelchair. And she had a caretaker who took care of her directly across the street, named Eunice Hayes. And she was raising her granddaughter. And I never was able to discover the circumstances around that. But her daughter, Audrey, was exactly my age within 2 months and was going to be going to my public school, K-6. And so we became close friends. We walked to school together every day, and we walked home almost every day for about 2.5 years. And this was 1948 or something like that, 1949. And my parents, especially my mother, was so supportive of this friendship. And so I didn't think there was anything different about my friendship with Audrey as with anybody else. I just didn't think about it. And her cousins lived in Bridgeport and Stratford, and I would go with her sometimes on a weekend and spend the whole day with her cousins. And I'd come home and just say that we had a blast on their sleeping porch, cooking out. And then one day we belonged to a sailing club, and I told my mom that I was taking Audrey. And she said, "You can't take Audrey there." I said, "Yes, I can. I took Susan last week." And she said, "But you can't take Audrey." And we had this argument, and I finally said, "Why?" And she said, "Because she's a Negro." Those were the words she used. And the sadness on her face, the deep sadness, I knew that she knew this was wrong. And I also knew that it broke her heart to tell me. And from that day, I mean, I screamed and yelled, it's not fair. I think I threw my sneaker across the room. I just thought it wasn't fair. And I think that's the start of my being aware that there was prejudice in the world. I had had no idea up until that day. And then I was fortunate to be quite a bit younger than my brother and sister, and they grew up to be very progressive people. And so they were my guiding lights. My brother, when he went to college, worked at the Y and worked with inner city youth, and he was blackballed from a fraternity by a Southern roommate, and he didn't find out who did it till his 25th college reunion, when this man from the South came up and apologized and fessed up. And so, you know, and then my early adulthood was parallel to the civil rights movement, and somehow I just allied with some people in town, and we got very active in Bridgeport. So, and I'm not saying what I didn't know then is just Legion. I knew everything was wrong and I wanted to write in it, but I had not begun to explore white privilege until much, 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 much later. And as I became to be more interested, I did quite a bit of genealogy. And as I had suspected and feared, I have a tremendous amount of enslavement in my ancestral family. And then I found Tom right after they began, I think in about 2012 or something like that. I came upon them from a radio program where he and Sharon Morgan were talking about their book, and they were going to be the very next day in New York City, and I just went right in. And so that began my education. I have so much to learn and so much further to go, but I'm familiar with Kenya. I've spent quite a bit of time in Kenya. So I'll just say that I read in the 7th grade, Cry the Beloved Country. And that book catalyzed me in the 7th grade. I told all my friends in school that I wanted to be a missionary in Africa. And I've wanted to go to Africa for so long. And then I got the opportunity to go 4 times, I think, to Kenya, maybe 5. And then about 3 years ago, I thought, I want to go to Ghana. And there's something that is still percolating about, it's not guilt at all, but it's atonement. It's, and maybe praying for, if I have linked ancestors whom I haven't found yet, I might have found one. Pray for their progeny, pray for their great-grandchildren and their great-great-grandchildren and their great-great-grandchildren, and pray that they're living all that they're surviving and that I'm on their side. And I don't know how I want to do this, but I feel I want to ritualize it in my own very personal way. And I also know that every single person in my family is supportive of me. None of them are coming, but they understand this is important for the whole family. And I'm sure that I'm going to be introduced to all sorts of things I had no idea about. I am basically maybe in the 3rd grade by now. So I'm looking forward to YouTube and helping me grow and understand even more.
Well, thank you, Anne. And it will be my hope that we can also engage in those rituals that are cleansing and that help us just to reconcile
Yeah.
whatever it is that we're stirring up inside of us. It is a hard thing to reconcile what our beliefs are, the sacred things that we practice, and then to go to those places and see that the very people who claim to be practicing religion were so heinous and atrocious and uh, to people while they were upstairs having religious celebrations. So talk about having to reconcile that as a pastor, right? In some of the traditions, the very traditions that enslaved people. So it's quite a bit for us to deal with and while we're there. But part of the reason that we are going to be gathering bi-weekly is so that we begin this process before we get there. And that we all get to know one another very well before we get there. Because we are spending 9 days together with people who will touch us and people who will be touched in their own way. And we will need to know when to give some space and when to challenge a little bit. So I'm going to ask Marjorie, if you, do you prefer to be called Marjorie? Is there another? Okay. And also I didn't ask you all, Casey and I have ours up there. If you have pronouns that you prefer to be called, please let us know that as well, because we don't want to make any assumptions.
She, her.
I'm she, her, and I'm married to Jane, so you can make an assumption that we're lesbians. But
Well, these days, Marjorie, the young people have different ways of,
they certainly do. That's been a
so
conversation in our household,
I was
yes.
going to say, so it doesn't mean that you're lesbian. It just means you happen to be in a relationship with
Right.
another woman. But
Sure.
I get what you're saying. But I think all of us here are probably of a certain age. So,
But
you know, we probably have the same language, I'm guessing.
yeah. Well, I have a little show and tell that I prepared. I've done a class with Prinny Anderson of Coming to the Table has led on whiteness, and I've done multiple things with her. But this was going through a book about white racial identity. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of the assignments was to draw an image of your, and I was like, I don't draw an image, and what do you mean? And so I was reluctant until the first time, and a lot of people had words in their drawings, like I could do words. So let me get it. It's 6 feet
Okay.
away. I
Okay.
keep it on my bulletin board. And it's a lot of words, so I will read it to you. My father's family is an early Virginian. And so I have extensive enslavement roots in Virginia. I don't know as much about my mother's family because it's not clear. I mean, their genealogy isn't easy to follow. So I'm going to show you the picture. I'm going to read you the words. You don't have to worry about the words, but just get a little sense of the picture here. And what I'm talking about in this is my sense of my racialized trauma as someone who's a descendant of many generations of people, white people who enslaved Africans and African Americans. So it's 3 columns here. And we'll talk about this column first, and it's called sort of my enslavement legacy. And this you should interpret as a box that's way too small for the human that's crammed into the box. And the words around it are cruel. So the legacy that I feel like I've received: cruelty, authoritarianism, oppression, denial, repression, alcoholism, numbing, sexual abuse, anxiety, make nice, depression, controlled, controlling. So, I mean, many of these things are alive and well in me, not just as the subject of cruelty, but, when I've taken a cruel action. So controlled, controlling, fearful, emotional dysregulation, trampled boundaries, inauthenticity. So the middle one is my racism legacy, and there's a heart there that's cracked. And so the first column is what I perceive as my direct legacy from my ancestors. The second column is what I perceive as my direct legacy from the system and the culture that my ancestors created. And it says the heart that doesn't recognize the hearts of others is not recognizing itself. The heart closed to loving cannot love itself, cannot perceive the love pervading the universe, is shattered, fragmented, imprisoned in walls of its own making. And the last one says, the work of this moment, my work of this moment. It says, as within, so without. Heal the heart of its heartlessness. Step into authenticity, radiate outwards, be the change I want to see in the world.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Profound. I mean, you took a lot. How long did you take to do that exercise?
Not very long once I realized I could use words. when I said image, and I'm thinking like, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's how I can do words.
Very well thought out.
Mm.
You could tell it comes from the heart. Thank you for
Mm.
sharing that.
But I mean, I could also say, 68 years is how long it took me to write it. So that's another answer.
But and I think that it's important for you to acknowledge the work that you've done, right? Because you said 68 years is how long it took you to get to this point. But there are people who are 68 years of age who will still say, I don't have anything to do with what my ancestors did, or I don't have privilege, right? You know the stories, you've heard them. I suffer because I'm poor. I suffer because I'm a part of the queer community. I suffer because I'm not able-bodied. Like people will compare those things, right? And say, I don't get what the big deal is in terms of why is it seen that your issues are more important, right? And we're not saying that our issues are more important. There's just an acknowledgement, though, of the system that we live in. And the fact that you've done the work is really critical. It's critical because it will help you as you go on this journey. You all are fortunate because you've heard Tom talk about his experience. I'm sure you saw the video that Tom did. So a little story about Tom and my relationship and uh, experiences that we had. We did so I went to Ghana last year. And 2 weeks after I went, Tom came and presented for me because I am the executive director of the Healing Racism Institute. And Tom and I talked about it before I went, and it was like, oh, this is going to be so great, Carolyn, because we'll have a lot to talk about when you come back. And it was the most difficult thing to sit there and listen to Tom talk about his experience. It was way too soon because Tom talked about what it was like for him to be in that castle. And I was back in that castle. And there were some other people in the audience who had gone on the trip with me, and so were they. And so when Tom and I processed, later, after we did our Q&A, we kept the script that we were supposed to, right? And when I say script, it was an authentic conversation, but we did what we needed to do that night. But the next day he says, Terrell, and I couldn't even look at you because I could feel, right? He could feel the energy around. It wasn't even anger, but it was the intensity of being in that place. And so I want to acknowledge to both of you that you have done some incredible work. And still, when you go there, that stuff will bubble up. in unimaginable ways. But you'll be okay because we all survive it, right? We're here. Casey and I are here. How many years have you gone to Ghana, Casey, and taken people on pilgrimage?
I have been taking people since 2016. I think I missed a COVID year. And the last time that I went, and Turlin was on the trip, I couldn't go into the castle. You know, I had done it so many years. And you think that you're over it. It's just a tour now. It's really not. It sits with you. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to stay on the bus this time just for self care, my own soul care. And I needed to do that. But I was shocked that that I just didn't want to do it. I was just like,
Mm.
no, like,
Mm.
um, and it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. Of course, you all will want to go because it's your first time. You might not want to go again, but you will want to experience. And we talk about the castles. There's so many other parts of this journey that are just breathtaking, and will leave you, you know, rubbing your heart area. Even for us. I don't know. There's I just saw like minutes before getting on the call. Um, it was some TikTok video where the woman was married to a white man. They were both in beautiful African garb, and they had the baby. And the first saying was, um, Americans would be mad that this white man was wearing African garb. And and so it shows you that even us in Africa, even though we feel like we're going home sometimes, there's still just a difference. We were brought to wherever we were brought to, culture, our culture appropriated. Whereas there in Africa, the white man was a minority. And so they thought it was great. And I said, well, just we're all brothers and sisters. Why can't we I basically say, cut Black Americans a break. Our journey was so different than theirs. They stayed. They were allowed to stay. And so there's all of that going on. So not only are you on the journey, but we're on the journey as well, trying to
And
find.
it's very interesting because there is a dynamic here between, Black Americans and people who are truly African American or even from the islands, because they will often think that we don't have more because we're lazy. We had all these opportunities, but they don't understand the history of here. And when they come, they often think they're being discriminated against because they are foreigners and they have an accent. But they don't realize until after they've been here for a while, like, oh, wait a minute. This has nothing to do with that. It might. I mean, I can't dismiss it. But one of the things that was very profound, and I don't even know if I mentioned this to you, Dr. Casey, that when I left one of the castles, I asked the young lady there, I said, do they teach you all about African American history, like US history? Do you know what we went through? And she said, no. So they don't even know the horrors that we went through. And because everything has been whitewashed, we don't know the horrors that happened before they ever got on the ships. That is the part that is the most, I won't say the most sickening, but it's very sickening, right? And so we all have a lot to learn. And the way that we heal is to return home. right? To return back to that place. Yes, Anne, I'm going to answer your question. And then there's some things I want to make sure that I cover with you all tonight, just in terms of logistical things, just so you can have some questions, some of your questions answered as well. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have a question. It was more of a comment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Go
I'll,
ahead.
I'll wait until you're done.
No. If it's, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that there is something really, you cannot, if you haven't been to a place, you can't know a place.
Mm,
The energy and the spirits and the trauma and the love of people trying to help each other and the fear, all of that must be embedded in the walls of
mm,
those castles.
mm,
And
mm,
that is
mm.
really why I want to go. That is really, it's not enough to know about it. It's not enough to even to see a film that seems exactly like it might have been, because it's not
Yeah.
exactly how it might have been. And I decided that if I'm not actually there in the same space, I can never do what I feel I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say need to do. There's no needing here. There's just a deep desire
Mm,
of atonement, of recognition, and of acknowledgement,
mm,
and that I need to be in that space
mm,
where they were.
mm. So, and just so you know, there's at one point that one of the castles that we went to.
Maybe you shouldn't tell her.
Oh, okay. See, I get excited and I want to tell you, thank you, Reverend.
I'll
Reverend
find
Dr.
it when
Gates.
I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Thank you. See, this is why it's good to have somebody else, because I get excited. And if I tell you, she's right. If I tell you, it'll take away the moment for you. So listen, here's what I want to
Miss
do.
it. I want you to nudge me with your elbow
Oh,
if I.
you
Oh,
won't.
you'll know.
You
Yeah.
won't miss it.
Okay.
You won't miss it.
But we will. We'll nudge
But
you.
I will tell you though, it's Casey, even with when Tom shared a part of his journey,
Mhm.
even though I knew Tom's journey and I knew what was coming before he read it,
Mm.
we had something similar to happen to us. It's
Mm.
still just, and even actually sitting here talking about it, it's still, I can feel it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, you all, is that you will need to do some things to release these things, this stuff out of your body as well, right? Because it's energy that we're taking in.
Yeah.
So when you get off the call tonight, just make sure that you do some breathing and just literally just wash it away out of your body. If you could shower, but if not, just do this. I mean, I used to have a radio show called Dismantling Racism. And I had a woman who's an empath, and she says, Carolyn, every week after you do that show, you literally need to just get that stuff out of you. I think I'm just having a conversation, but unconsciously taking on
That's right.
that information. So let's talk a little bit about the trip. It's so exciting because we're getting ready to look, get the tickets and everything purchased. We got a couple of more weeks because I want to give everybody a chance to get, all their money's in, and if there are other people that are going, but I want to talk to you about your flight information. Now, everything I say to you tonight, you can take notes if you want, but you will get an instruction booklet that's going to be coming to you. I just have to hone up some things that you will need to go through some of the paperwork that you have to do. So I have to do things like purchase your tickets so that you will have that information when you get ready to apply to your visa. So let's talk about that. So we will be leaving, and I understand, I know Marjorie, you won't be, but we will be leaving from JFK, and you and I will talk offline, okay? We will be leaving from JFK on October 28th, and we will be arriving in Ghana October 29th because they are ahead of us, okay? And so the flight is approximately 11 hours, but it might even be about 9 hours, depending, okay? The particular flight that we are looking at leaves at 4:45 p.m. Now that could change,
Mhm.
but that's the flight that we're looking at because it gets us there the next morning at 6:25. But let's just say when I get ready to go in and buy the tickets, if it's changed a little bit, you'll see that on there. But usually it's good to take the overnight flight, get yourself some sleep so that when you get there the next day, ready to roll. And we'll try not to do too much on the next day. Like we won't be taking a bus 3 hours away once we get there to go do the first thing. We'll try to do something within the actual area so that you are still seeing Accra, like, probably visiting a museum or something like that. I'm working on the itinerary with our tour guide, who you will love, by the way. Um, he's just phenomenal with the information that he has to give. He probably will be talking the whole time we're on the bus ride, because he just full of information, right? And he will even sing as well if you are open to singing with him. But anyway, so the ticket that I'm getting is a basic ticket. It will be on Delta Airlines. I want to encourage you all that if you do not have global entry, go. Do you have global entry by any chance? Because I know, Marjorie, it seems like you travel a lot. So do you have global entry?
I don't think I have that. I just made a note, however.
Yes. So here's the thing about global entry, and I just redid my application for global entry. With global entry, it includes pre-check already. So you might already have pre-checking. You might say, well, why do I need to get that if I have pre-check or if I have digital? But the thing about global entry is when you come back to the US, you don't have to wait in line as long as other people do. So I've had it now since 2019, and it has made my life so much easier. So while other people are waiting in line, you're, you know, you're back in the US. Now, when you go to excuse me, Ghana, your global entry doesn't work. It only works when you're coming back into the US, okay? I would suggest you go ahead and start taking care of that now. With all the layoffs in the government, we just don't know how long things are going to take. I hope all of you are updated on your passports. Your passport has to be good for at least 6 months after you are coming back into the US. So look at your passport. If it is due to expire within 6 months of you coming back into the US, go ahead and get your passport updated, okay? Your flight will be on Delta Airlines. It will be in the main cabin. Once I get those tickets, if you choose to upgrade, that's something that you will have to do. Okay. You call the airline and say, I want to upgrade, and then you can take care of that. You might want to upgrade to comfort, or maybe you want to upgrade to first class. I don't know your finances. So I know I can't upgrade to first class. That would be lovely if I could, but um, I won't be able to do that, but I will give you all the information you need. But what I will need from you in order to make your reservations, and I'll send out something for this, but I will need your full name, whatever name that matches your government ID. Okay. So, they say you have to have the real ID to fly, but if you have a passport, you don't need that. But for instance, my license say Terrellyn Avery, even though I go by Curry Avery. So in order for me to fly, I made sure that on my passport, I have Terrellyn Curry. It's like Terrellyn and then Curry as the middle name and then Avery as the last name. That way, when I'm presenting that, all my names are on my ticket. Okay. If you apply for global entry and you have a global entry number, that is good to know too for your ticket, because if we put that information into Delta, like if anybody in here have a Delta Sky Miles, for instance?
I do.
Okay. So when you get your global entry number, you can just go into Delta Sky Miles and automatically put that number in. So now you're a known traveler. And again, that's automatically pre-check for you. That would be good information for me to have when I'm getting your tickets. Okay. Um, the other thing about the tickets, date of birth and address and all of that other stuff. But again, you'll have a form to fill out and get that information to me. Okay. For your visa, you have to complete your visa 60 days before entering Ghana and not before. Some people want to rush to get it done because you want to just check off everything that needs to be done, but 60 days before. So we're leaving on October 28th, right? So you can't get it done before August. All right. But here's the thing. You now you should, before all the stuff that was happening in the government, you received your visa within 10 to 12 business days. But I mean, there's nothing I can do about you. I mean, our hands are kind of tied with what's going on. But you should get your visa back within the 10 to 12 business days. Yes,
And will you tell us how we get a visa? I thought usually I go through it or
absolutely.
something. Okay,
Absolutely.
keep going.
It's a whole process. So when you get this instruction booklet, it will give you the link and it will give you line by line of what you need to do to fill out your visa. Now, you really can just look on their website and it tells you line by line, but Reverend Dr. Casey is so generous to share with me her instruction booklet that she has used when we went with her. Everything was just laid out so very nicely. And it's a sample though. So just know that it's a sample. So if there's something on here that's slightly off, don't come and say, Dr. Chelsea, this says blah, 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 blah. This is a sample. I'm going to try my best to put in every single thing that you need to know. But if you find something that is slightly off, just correct it and move on, because you're going to have everything that you need. Okay. You will get a link to the visa form. And also there's a health declaration form as well that you will have to complete. Now, here's one thing I want to say. Everyone must have a yellow fever vaccination before the visa application is sent. So do not wait until August to get your yellow fever vaccination.
Can I
Okay.
chime in?
Yes.
Check with your doctor. We have been hearing that persons over 60 years old do not need to get it. So check with your doctor. Your doctor will probably say, get it anyway, right? But if you're averse to vaccines, you might want to check with your doctor.
But you still have to have that little card, that vaccination card where there's a signature on that card, right? Now,
I believe so. Yeah.
I went to a travel clinic. Marjorie, where are you located?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, you're out in Oregon. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I have a very dear friend who lives in Portland, actually. Um, so, um, when I went to the travel clinic, they also suggested other vaccines that I might want to take. You don't have to do that though. So you want to follow the advice of your doctor and you can follow the advice of the travel clinic. So I did things like typhoid because I just needed to have mine updated. But now since I took that, I don't need to do it again for another 5 years. But I travel a lot. So that's why I did it. I also got malaria pills. The doctor will suggest that you take them before, during, and after your trip. I took mine, but I did not take all of them because the thing about malaria pills is that they can sometimes give you an upset stomach, but that has to be up to you what you choose to do. Okay. I would definitely say take some pills. I also took was it a zithromycin? I think it was. I just had that for when I went to Thailand as well. I asked my doctor for an antibiotic just in case I needed one. Didn't need it, but I took it. Okay. And since we're talking about malaria, let me go back to that for a second. Make sure that you bring bug spray with you. That's 99% deep woods off, like off brand or something. I also, what I did was, since I'm a natural person, I mix some essential oils together and I put those things on me, but you have to know what works for you. You can also buy those little bands that you can put around your wrist and around your legs, which I did. I bought a spray that I sprayed my clothes with as well. I should add that spray to this list because I don't think is there, but I sprayed my clothes a week or two before going to Ghana and hung them up, right? And then I just packed them and went. All right. Questions about anything? I know I'm giving you a lot, but trust me, we're going to go over this over and over again. Yeah.
One question. So you say it should have a lot of DEET,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right, which we normally don't like to use, but we might
Right.
have to. We might
Right.
have. Yes, got
Right.
it.
Right.
Okay, okay.
But and listen, if you have breathing problems or something like that, just check with your doctor.
No, I have,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm-
I just want to say, listen, everything is checked with your doctor because even though I'm a doctor, I'm not a medical doctor. Okay. So I cannot give you any advice on any of that stuff. Okay. Um,
Can I add that our friend over there, Afua, she's a lady pharmacist. That's what they call pharmacists. She's a
yeah,
lady pharmacist. She's a doctor, has a doctorate in pharmacy. So whenever we need something, she's on the case. We're like, oh, somebody has a bad stomach. But I suggest you just bring in your regular pill case, put everything else that you might need, Tums, Rolaids. We know we get those stomach aches sometimes. Just pack everything in those little cases. You'll be
yeah.
fine.
And that's what I did when I just did my sabbatical. I mean, I had my own little first aid kit that I had with me. I had liquid Band-Aid, just you just pack because you don't ever know what you might need, right? So I'm not going to spend time tonight going through all of the visa information, but the most important thing is making sure you have your passport. Um, I would have my COVID vaccine card. It won't hurt to have that. I really think the last time they didn't pressure us too much about it, but it's important for you to at least have your card if you have it. And then you will eventually also still have to get a passport ID photo. Okay. Even though you have your passport, when you go to do your visa, they will want just a photo. So just go to CVS or well, not CVS, wherever you want to go and get it. You can go to the post office, you can get a little, ID. So there was a lot of discussion last year about whether you should get one or whether you should get two. photo IDs. They will tell you on the visa application that you need two. Ultimately, we only needed one. I'm going to advise you to get two because it's better to be safe than sorry. And doesn't cost. Yes.
So I just did my passport recently, and they've already let me know that they've received it and they're processing it. I think I'm now going to call them up and say it should be expedited because
No.
even well, because even though it's not traveling, but I'm worried about the 6 months.
No. The 6 months is so that when you come back, so we're coming back on November 6th, right? Your passport has to be valid for 6 months after you return to the US. So I'm
Oh,
sorry if I wasn't clear about
oh,
that.
okay. So but I thought I read somewhere that it had to be 6 months before a visa. There was something in that I read.
I've never heard that.
I went online and it said something like your passport. I thought it was, maybe it's what you say. I thought it said your vast passport has to be in existence for at least 6 months before you travel in, but maybe I was incorrect.
No, because otherwise, I mean, people travel all the time. They get a passport last minute, they get a visa
Yeah,
last
okay.
minute.
All
So,
right. I might have misread it.
yeah.
Okay.
And so all of the information you will need for completing that visa, including our host passport, because our host has to give his passport to us and all those things, because you'll need that information as well. Okay. So I'm going to be patient with everything. As soon as we have all the information, including where we're going to stay, which is why it's important to know exactly how many people are going with us so that we can get the appropriate lodging space. One of the things that Dr. KC and I were talking about today, it seems like everybody wants to go to Ghana because some of the hotels are already filling up. So, and I imagine some people are reserving spaces in case they go, but either way, we want to make sure that we're getting what we need because we want us all to be together to make the flow of things a lot easier. Okay. So I'm going to pause there to see if you have any questions. And Reverend Casey, if there's anything you think that I need to know, I need to let them know about tonight. There's lots more to know about, but I feel like this this has been quite a bit, so we don't want to overload.
Yes, this is fine. Those passports are important, vaccinations, and the visa. Getting
Yeah.
ready to do the visa in August.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Okay. All right. All right. Well,
It's
if
gonna be
there's,
hot, right?
oh, that's a very good question. So that's in your instruction booklet too. Yes, it will be. The weather was beautiful when we were over there, but I always tell people dress in layers. First of all, because the vehicle could be cold. So you want to make sure that you're dressed in a way where you can take off clothes if you want to. Also, I always made sure now Dr. KC didn't necessarily do this, but I typically made sure that my arms were covered. I think I was overly cautious with not wanting to be bitten by a mosquito or anything. But I think this time when I go over, I might follow the example of Dr. KC because she looks so cute in her little outfits that
Oh,
she
well,
on.
thank you.
And I was
Well,
like, oh,
you can always have a wrap or something. We laugh about mosquitoes. We really shouldn't, but we tell everyone to do the DEET. But literally every single time I went, not one person got bit. We did not see one mosquito. But if we don't say use your DEET,
exactly.
So
Well, and because if you look on those websites with Ghanaians speaking, they will say, don't come over here thinking you can be like us. You need to make sure that have your mosquito repellents because we're used to the mosquitoes. And so everybody will have a horror story. So we just want you to proceed with caution. But I think we had rain maybe one day. I mean, it was really, really just beautiful weather. I also want to let you know that we will be doing some walking, but anything that you feel like you cannot do, say that you don't want to do it or you cannot do it. The tour guide that we have will be very sensitive to the needs of the group. Okay. If there is something, let's say that we're doing as a group and you choose that you're going to sit out, either Reverend Casey or I will, we might sit with you, or we'll make sure that you're taken care of. So we're not going to just leave you floundering by yourself. I do want to say this because I think this is important. The one thing that I did not like about Ghana was that when we toured the castles and when we toured other places, there are so many people there who are trying to sell you something. And I just think it's important for you to be prepared for that. No is a firm word. No, 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 if you do not want to buy something. What I did not like about it was because I would be coming out of the place in my, feelings. And they're like right there, you want to buy something? You want to buy something? You want to buy something? And I get it. They need the money. It's hard. But I just want you to be prepared for that. Okay. But please do not feel compelled to buy anything. Now you're going to want to buy something and we're going to take you to a market, but we're taking you to places where we think are good places for you to go. Okay.
And our guides are very good bodyguards. They stand in the around us. So
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing about this trip though is interesting because I don't know how many people will be with us on the tour bus because it's a smaller group. Now, if I have more people, then we have more folks going with us. So like when we were on your trip, Dr. Casey, we had a bunch of people going with us. I mean, we must have had, I don't know, 5 or 6 people who were going. And when she says that they will stand around you, they absolutely will. I was in the market one day and I was going off with this guy to go see his stuff. And one of the guys came up and was like, no, you got to come with us. So he basically stood guard, and they didn't like him for doing it. I mean, you heard them arguing with each other because their thing was, how are you going to you're going to take this American woman over us, right? But he took his job very seriously. He was there to show us a great experience, and they were not going to get in the way of that. So people are lovely. I mean, they weren't going to do anything to us. They just wanted to sell me something. So yeah. But all right, you good, Anne? You're looking so serious there. So
I know, I'm just thinking, no, I'm fantasizing. It's just, I am so excited and so happy, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really feel a resonance. I too have had a lot of experience teaching mindfulness and using that in my own practice with clients. And so I feel like I'm among friends.
You absolutely are, and good that you and Marjorie know each other. So you must know Marjorie's wife as well. Do you all know Susan? Susan
No,
Montgomery. She's
and we
coming.
don't know each other.
We don't know each other. I think I've seen you though. You look, have you been on the, have you been sometimes on the meditation?
No, I haven't done that, but
Okay.
maybe we saw each other last national gathering or something.
Maybe, yeah.
We
I
will
just,
know each other because we're going to hang out in Minneapolis together. So we will
what's your
know.
last name, Marjorie? What is your last name?
McCrae, MCRAE.
Oh, I know your name.
So
Oh.
so you all, Marjorie, you get people to come, tell people when they go to to coming to the table. You can tell them about this, but if they're interested, they have to hop
Well,
on.
I was thinking of my own network. I mean, that also is good, though I know you already put out the announcement to CTTT. So I was just thinking of my own network, so, informal, whatever. But and I can't imagine, I mean, even if I spread the word, we'd be lucky if one person said yes. But is there an upper limit to the group size that you're thinking of?
So my upper limit was 20, but really 10 is a good number.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I think I shared this with you, Dr. Casey. I was one of my white colleagues who came on the call so she could know who the ideal person was to come. When I told her I was taking 20 people, she was like, Carolyn, you don't want to take 20 white people with you to Ghana. That would be a lot for you to deal with emotionally. But I am all about the healing. And so as many as God sends my way, that's who will be coming. There's one other thing. I want to send each of you a copy of my book. Could you please just make sure that you send me your email address? Now, it should be in your We Travel, but not your email address. Could you send me your physical mailing address so that I can make sure that I have your updated address? And I will send each of you to you all, Marjorie, a copy of this book because it is important. Hmm?
We only need one, we share, they'll be fine.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I don't know, unless it's you can judge. I mean, that's my reaction, but you can judge.
I will send you one and you all can share. Do the work that's in the book, though, right? So the book is an easy read, easy in terms of quick read. I should say quick read.
Yeah.
But there'll be exercises in it. But just, I feel like it gives you my model and helps
Good,
you to understand who I am. Okay.
super. We will read it.
Okay.
I sent an email to, I think I told you in an email to Sandy Bernabe, the social worker who started Anti-Racist Alliance in New York City, and she has a huge network. And I'm really surprised I haven't, usually she answers me right away. So I haven't heard back. I sent that out to her yesterday, but
Well, give her some time.
yeah,
Life.
hoping that she will be able to maybe find some people.
Well, I'm really grateful for Tom because Tom sent it out and his people just jumped on it right away. So grateful to him.
Can you send me, sorry, I lost the Zoom because I clicked to the email. The email that you sent came from We Travel or something. I don't know whether I have your email directly. I'd be interested in a little blurb because I'm going to connect to my network by email. So if you gave me something that was already packaged, it'd
Yeah.
be easier for me to send it out.
So you know what I will do? I will download the brochure and send you the brochure, but I can also do like a little blurb too, as well and send it to you. But if
Because
I
I think that the blurb would be good for the body of the email. And yeah, if I have the brochure, I can append it to the email. And I thought, well, I could go on your website, but I'm asking for a short blurb.
and I will get that to you, okay?
Thank
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, if you would just for a moment, just center yourself and let us give thanks in this moment for those who are gathered here and those who will be coming. Let us give thanks for the awareness and the consciousness that we are all interconnected, and that if we are to heal racism, we must do the work. And we must be in a place of love, forgiveness, understanding, and self-acceptance. So we lift all of these things in the circle and in this space, and we ask for a blessed night and peaceful rest. And we say, and so it is, Ashe, Amen.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will see you all in a couple of weeks and I will get information to you. I will get that information to you tomorrow, Marjorie, because
Yeah, sure.
when I shut this off, I'm done for the evening. Yeah. All
Good
right.
night,
Good night
everyone.
to you
Nice to
all.
meet you again.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Right.